Oh, no, I'm right here. Don't leave a random.
Mic test.
Okay.
Mic test. Mic test.
Okay.
Club of Marshalltown. It's great to have all of you here. I don't know if Carrie Barr is here. Carrie, are you here? If not, Dan will take you up on your offer to lead us in the prayer and pledge. Please rise.
Good afternoon, Carrie. Please head to me. Almighty God, we thank you for all the many benefits that we have. And in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, time to recognize guests. Do we have any guests here today? Thank you, Rick.
Today, I brought my wife, Mary Kay.
Anybody in the chat box having this? Okay. Wyatt, you have somebody to introduce?
Pandemic, I have not done a whole lot with them yet. I am also involved in swimming. I manage the girls swim team and I also help out with coaching for Miller Middle School swimming. I have a note card just to make sure. Yeah, I checked everything off the list. Outside the school, I also do volunteering at the Iowa Veterans Home, although again, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I have not been able to do that right now. I am also involved in Sea Cadets. And as far as future aspirations, right now, some colleges I'm looking at, my main goal is I'm looking at the Naval Academy. Some other colleges I've also looked at the Merchant Marine Academy, ROTC through Michigan University, Iowa State University, and I've also looked at potentially swimming Division I in college, and depending on scholarships, that may influence where I go.
Welcome. It's great to have you here. This is a happy day because we are going to have an induction now of a group of new members. And so I'm going to invite Jim Goodman to come forward. And those of you who are new members and their sponsors, would you also please come forward?
Well, Marcus, I got to say it was good to hear from you, and I'll tell your grandmother I had lunch with you today. Carol Barker works for us. I want to welcome all of you new inductees. I'm Jim Goodman, and I want to do what's known as give you the charge for Rotary, but also want to tell you some things about Rotary that maybe you don't know yet. Rotary was founded February 23rd in 1905 in Chicago, Illinois, by a lawyer, Paul Harris. He rebounds through our lore in Rotary, and it was at the Unity Building. Today, there are 35,000 clubs, over 35,000 in 200 countries, and there's over 1.2 million members. We believe that Rotary is the, and I have the unanimous consent of all these people in here, that it is the premier service club. We're glad to have you join our ranks. Rotary's stated purpose is to bring together business and professional leaders in the community to provide humanitarian service and advance goodwill and peace in the nation. Rotary is not a secret society. There's not a secret handshake. We have no religious affiliation. We have no political affiliation. The motto of Rotary is service above self, which you'll come to know better. As to this club, the Marshalltown Club, this is number 185. And it was actually historically quite a feat that Marshalltown got chartered as a club. They were mostly big cities, and Marshalltown made several passes at this and was successful in becoming chartered. It does good works locally and worldwide. A few of the projects that we're involved in, we have a program called Josh the Otter, which acquaints small children in the community with the hazards of being around open water, rivers, streams, and stuff like that, and acquaints them with water matters. We have a food drive. We have a thing called Coats for Kids, where we get disadvantaged children coats during the Christmas season for winter. We have a Shop with a Cop program that we promote and support financially. We have supported an African water project with the belief that these villages in Africa are much better off if they can develop their water resource, drop a well, or those type of things. We're heavily involved in Polio Plus, which is a worldwide project to eradicate polio. And we've been successful in that. We're not the only ones. I mean, Bill Gates is heavily involved too, as you might know. This club has great programs, has great food, and it has great fellowship, and we heartily encourage you to partake of it. I have here a pin for each of you. Wear it proudly. Strive to abide by the four-way test, which you'll see we'll recite at the end of the program. Sometime down the road, you will be invited to a fireside chat wherein further details about Rotary will be explained to you. And I'm real happy to see you all in here. Sorry it took so long to get to the induction, but you are now charged and induced. So with that, I would ask our members to stand and welcome our new members with a round of applause.
I would like to invite each of the new members to come up and at least tell us your name and maybe where you work as soon as you receive your PIN and your information.
Hello, I'm Boo Mansager. I was born and raised in Marshalltown and have just recently started working at the Bradshaw Law Firm in the Marshalltown office. I worked for Bradshaw in Des Moines. I celebrated my 30th year last September. So I'm a legal assistant and I'm very pleased to join you. Thank you.
Hello, Kendra Sorensen. I am the new Executive Director for Marshalltown Area United Way. So I am Nancy Stevenson's successor. Been with United Way now since about mid-January. very pleased to be serving in that capacity here in our community.
Good afternoon. I'm Sherry King. I'm the administrator for Unity Point Health Marshalltown. I've actually been in that role since June of last year, but have enjoyed getting to know the Marshalltown community for the last couple of years as I've been in an interim role. So I'm very delighted to be with you today. Thank you. Hello, I'm Heidi Dreger. My husband is Dennis. I've been behind the scenes with Rotary for many years. I've talked to you guys about fundraising projects, Josh the Otter. We still need more money. Finally, decided to actually make it official and become an actual Rotarian. So thank you, and I appreciate it.
I would like to give a belated shout out to Jackie Goodman, who is our membership chair, who did all the legwork to make today happen. Thank you so much, Jackie. Was there more that you were, I should have called on you first. Was more you'd like to say?
I just want to welcome all of our new members. We're happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to many more groups like this under your leadership. So thanks again. I invited Sherry to stay up in front because next up on our agenda, I believe, is announcements. And she has an announcement, so I'm saving her a trip.
Thank you. Yes, I do have an announcement. Unity Point Health Marshalltown has a lot of vaccine to distribute this week. So we have appointments available. And I believe after this meeting, the email about that will be sent out to you. It includes a link and also a phone number that you can call and make an appointment. We have a lot of vaccine to distribute. The state expects us to have a burn rate, which means the administration rate of 80% within 1 week of receipt of the vaccine. So we need to get a little over 1,000 doses out by Friday. So we are feverishly working at that, and we are looking forward to putting lots of vaccine in lots of people and moving away from the pandemic. So.
I see a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. Yes, this is the Moderna vaccine. It is the 2-dose vaccine. If you make an appointment, we will schedule your second dose when you come for your first. So that will all be set up for you. Also, this is for 18 years and older. Pfizer is the one that is 16 and older. So just so you don't get it confused, it is 18 and up. And it is open to anyone at this point. There are no tiers or restrictions on who can receive the vaccine. Yes. We never know. So no, it really is a week by week adjustment that we make. This is far and away more than what Marshall County has been receiving. Our typical county allocation has been 500 doses a week. So this is huge. Actually, this is an additional 1,600 doses, of which Unity Point Health Marshalltown just spoke for 1,200, said we'll do it. And just to get it out as quickly as we can to our community. Thank you.
That is great news indeed. Since I don't think we got a picture of all of the new inductees, I would like to ask if you would mind staying after the meeting today. We'll get a quick, you and your sponsors will get some snapshots if you can do that. Well, I'll make sure somebody is. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, other announcements. Last week we had 45 people who attended our meeting. There were 27 in person and 18 on Zoom. And I believe Andrina is here to give a little announcement about the Cleaniac project.
I should have been more proactive and stood outside, guys. And I too brought notes just in case I forgot. But hopefully you guys have received the email from Kim. Kim is great and she sends everything out for us. So, but basically I was, oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me? Awesome. Okay. So I'm Andrina Helgerson. I'm working with the People of Action Committee and we're kind of talking about how can we do things in person with also allowing for social distancing. And we heard about the Cleaniac Group's Cleaniac Challenge. And basically, I'm trying to rally our Rotary troops together and pick up some trash on the Friday after Earth Day. So that's April 23rd, right after work, so 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And we would take a picture of all the trash that we picked up. So the more people that come, the less trash we have to pick up, but the more that we could pick up collectively. Or we could just pick up a ton of trash, which I'm hoping to do. And that is at Riverview Park. And of course, we want to have some socialization. So if anyone wants to partake afterwards, we were planning on going to Wayward Socials, outdoor seating, and get a drink or a snack or two. But I think that is everything. Basically, what you need to bring is just trash bags, a mask so that we can be COVID friendly. And then also if you want gloves or you have those fun trash picker-uppers, bring those as well. But if you'd like to sign up, let me know. Or basically we want to know if you're planning on coming so we can kind of be prepared for how much trash we need because we're going to put them in people's pickup trucks. So we're going to have a ton of people. I need to find another truck to come. I'm hoping so. But then also if there is some inclement weather, I want to be able to reach out to the people that are planning on coming. So if you could reach out to me or Kim, and Kim will relay that message to me. But thank you guys.
Thank you. Sounds like a lot of fun for a good cause, and thanks to the People of Action Committee for making that happen. I don't know if Todd is with us today. No, okay. Under happy news, I want to start by giving a shout out to Jackie Wyant for her recent recognition as a finalist for the Outstanding Principal in the state of Iowa. We are really proud of you, Jackie, and congratulate you on this recognition. Is there other happy news that you'd like to share? If not, Rick, we're looking forward to today's program.
Hi, everybody. Our program today is about impact. You've probably seen it on covered in the news quite a bit. We had Senator Joni Ernst show up in the town and went there and saw it. David Hicks and Darcy Anderson are going to be our two speakers, and they're going to be telling us about this innovative program that I think Marshalltown's the first group to do it. And as we were talking at the table today, they're sort of learning as they go, but it seems so far to be very successful. So.
Good afternoon, everybody. David Hicks, YSS Director of Marshall County. Really thrilled to talk about impact. Want to welcome the new Rotarians. I'm a former Rotarian, or perhaps I'm a Rotarian in recovery, depending on how you want to look at it. This is such a great group, and it's always good to speak to this group because it's, you know, your motto, you know, service before self, and that's really the impetus of what YSS is all about too. We've been in the community 37 years. We are based out of Ames, where we're celebrating our 45th anniversary. So YSS of Marshall County provides a multitude of services, everything from family counseling to working with kids who age into foster care, homeless young people, low-income families, just a wide variety of services. So, you know, looking back to this past summer and the tone of the country and the need for supporting law enforcement and providing mental health services, which was just rapidly increasing, Chief Tupper and I had a conversation. He said, well, what if we had social workers in the Marshalltown Police Department? I said, that'd be great, but what if you contracted with YSS where we could provide a multitude of services? You wouldn't have to hire anybody, and we could, you know, bring forward our skills and opportunities within YSS to create a team. And that's what we did. We went before the city council, and Mayor Greer, I want to thank you and the council for moving this project along. Chief and I were just going to ask for $25,000 just to see what we could do. Half hour later, we're looking at a $150,000 program, and I didn't sleep for the next 3 nights. So knowing that that lift was pretty heavy, we had to get going right away. So those funds started in January, but we had to have a running head start. So myself, we got together just a community team of folks from hospital, school, other service providers to figure out what's this program going to look like, because there isn't one like it in Iowa, and we have to make it very, very unique to Marshalltown because Marshalltown has unique needs. So we came up with some processes, procedures, some goals. You know, with YSS, we're a nonprofit, and we have to report back to our funders of what we do with money, taxpayer dollars. I'm a taxpayer, as are you. So I have to be accountable for your money. So we had to figure out, what will this look like when we're done? Or how will we measure it as we go along? So our team came up with the four or five goals that we wanted to reach. Number one is reduce unnecessary arrests in order to keep people from entering or re-entering the criminal justice system. Reduce unnecessary use of force, disorderly conduct charges, or interference with official acts. Reduce unnecessary trips to the ER. Increase law enforcement time to be spent on actual criminal or public safety concerns or issues. Support our law enforcement partners with training that we have certain skills that we can work with our law enforcement partners on. And most importantly, provide social services to the public at the right time in the right place. Chief Tupper and his team are fielding hundreds and hundreds of calls all week. Many of these calls are not criminal in nature. They're mental health issues, substance abuse issues, family dysfunction, family conflict. That takes a law enforcement person or team to a house dealing with some family issues where they're better off in the community and public safety, law enforcement work. We feel that that's our skills that we bring to this partnership. So I'll introduce Darcy here in a little bit, but we wanted to also talk about the processes that the social workers would have to follow. $150,000, while that's a ton of money, personnel and employment is always your biggest expense. We have to pay people. And as a director of a nonprofit, we are not paid enough. I'll tell you that right now. A lot of people in the social service industry are not paid enough for the work that they do. So a good chunk of these funds are for salaries and operating, but it's a no frills budget. We're a nonprofit, and we often put the non in nonprofit. So this is very much grant money, and we're accountable to it. So as we rolled out the process, we knew the goals we wanted to accomplish, but how will we do this? So we came up with the following process, and that's when a call comes into the 911 center, the communication center, which I think it's 911 communications of the week or something like that, recognition week for the 911 dispatch operators. So they're the behind the badge heroes, that's for sure. So a call comes in, law enforcement is dispatched to that location. They assess it for safety. That's the number one thing. If there's a safety issue, they want to get that out in front and make sure everyone is safe. They then radio Darcy or Autumn, the other advocate, the other social worker. And so Darcy arrives, and she'll talk about her assessment process here in just a little bit. But again, as we move through these calls, we just constantly assess the procedures. Are we meeting the needs of the community? Are we meeting the needs of law enforcement? Are the social workers supporting the community? Because with the calls that we're getting, we are just seeing increase in need across the board, whether it's a young kid having a family conflict to, I think a couple of weeks ago, there was an elderly woman who had been scammed over the phone, and she went to the police to report it, and she was just completely distraught about the whole thing. So the social worker kind of met with her, got a plan in place, reassured her. And so you just never know what that crisis is, much like we don't know what law enforcement has to deal with when they get a call. So 2 months, we've been implementing this. So January was pretty much learning, training, figuring out how we're going to do it. February 1st is when you and Autumn kind of hit the streets. So the last 2 months, we've been collecting data. So we've had 42 calls that's yielded services to 60 people, which is quite a bit in a short amount of time, especially when it's brand new to law enforcement. And I keep hearing from Chief Tupper, it's really, the law enforcement community is a tough nut to crack. They got to trust you, got to be good communication. They got to know you're going to follow through. So we know the bar is set pretty high. So with those 60 people, nearly half were dealing with a mental health issue. So the calls we've received thus far, 50%, actually 49% mental health concern. 23% family conflict. Things were blowing up in the home. Needed some reassurance, maybe some skill development, an opportunity for somebody else to come in and maybe cool things down, provide some information, a warm handoff to another agency, or refer back to YSS. So we've met law enforcement and YSS. We meet every other week to kind of go through process and procedures, what's working and what's not. We've come to realize that sometimes when a law enforcement uniformed officer shows up, sometimes that's not a welcome event. Sometimes it sets people off. Sometimes it's very unnerving. Granted, there are some people who feel it's very reassuring, and rightfully so. But we don't want to set up that conflict with an officer being there when we think we can bring some other sports that we're going to tackle it from a different area or a different viewpoint. So it's very much a partnership with law enforcement. And there's certain issues like mental health, substance abuse, homelessness. You can't arrest your way out. The best we can do is provide services to those people and hopefully rectify or at least manage what's going on at that time. So we've had inquiries from Joni Ernst's office, who was here last week. There's other cities across Iowa popping up saying, how do you do this? How do we partner with law enforcement? What agencies do you work with? What's your protocol? How do you do this? How do you do that? So I tell them, we're still learning. We don't have all the answers either. But I always joke with Chief Tupper that we're going to package this and sell it for $49.95 to any community who wants it. We won't retire on those numbers for sure. We're happy to provide those opportunities for other communities, but we've got $150,000 for this calendar year. So at the end of December, we have to have a plan figured out, and that plan means money. Because we don't operate on thank you, it's money. So we are working, primarily me, working on grants, funding opportunities, reaching people who believe in this project, and it's very unique. So we're having some state inquiries, some federal inquiries to hopefully fund this past December 31st, but we're on the clock. We're already a quarter way into the year. We've got to be figuring out what the plan is. So while I get to worry about the money part, I'm going to have Darcy talk about the action part of what happens when the social workers are called. So Darcy's been an employee of YSS for over 10 years. One of my favorite people. She's one of the few employees I have that when I screw up, she'll call me on it. And we all need somebody in our lives who says, hey, I don't think you did this right. You could maybe do it better. So we always need somebody chirping in our ear to say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So I respect Darcy's judgment. And when she was in a previous position and had interest in going into impact, I thought, yes, right shoes, right person, right seat. So Darcy Anderson, community advocate for impact. And I'm going to have a seat.
Hi, you guys hear me? All right, good. Darcy Anderson, and I have been employed at YSS for actually 14 years, I think. So another year I'll be getting another plaque or something like that. Yeah, when David announced that this was going to happen, I'm like, that's it. That's what I've been waiting for. That's what I need to do. So just researching a lot and finding out what it all entailed and talking with my husband, we decided, yeah, I'm going to go for it. And believe it or not, they hired me. So that was cool. I basically wait for the call. I love listening to the radio to find out if there's anything I can do when I hear calls. And sometimes I'll even call into dispatch if they don't call me and say, hey, I can do this. Put me in, coach. So they'll call me once things are safe, and they'll explain the situation to me. And they don't leave my side. They are there to make sure I'm safe no matter what. They do tend to make some of the folks that I'm working with, talking to, feel a little uneasy. But I explained to them that I like to think of them as my personal security, kind of like Beyonce, just put some humor in it to make them feel a little easier with it. I said, they're a lot more intimidating, or they look a lot more intimidating than they are. They are wonderful people to work with. And actually, they're the reason that I went through with this job and was able to take it, because my husband didn't want me going out by myself. So I get called out actually for various things, mental health issues. There may be someone who has no idea what actual normal is, and I'll talk them through it for a little bit. And they may be trespassing, so that's why they got called. Just try and make sure that they have a place to put their head at night, and they stop with the trespassing. I've gotten called on homeless issues, and we do have some resources that we can reach out to with Bridge Home and getting hotel stays. And I've worked with them. I followed up with them to ensure that we can get them housing assistance. A lot of the barriers that the homeless folks have is they have no ID. So we have to start from square one and getting them an ID and a social security card and the birth certificate. So I'll work with them with that. So it's not just a one and done type of thing. We go out, meet with them, I may give them my card, but I do follow up. I contact them a couple days on down the road to make sure that they either followed up with the resource that I suggested to them, or I will help them follow up. Help them fill out applications for HUD, things like that. I've had some suicidal calls, which are probably my least favorite. I've sat down right next to them on a bridge, and I've sat down next to them against a building just to talk through some issues with them and do a little bit of an assessment to see where they are at with their suicide thoughts. And of course, I follow through with them. I do run into some kids that I've had previously. So, I mean, we already have that relationship. So it's a little bit easier for me to work with them at that point. One of the kids that got called out on for a suicide call, I brought over some boxing gloves for him so he can deal with his demons in that way. He had a bag hanging from a tree, which I always thought was really weird. And I thought it was going to fall down any day now, but it stayed up through it all. And I said, you really should hit that with some boxing gloves or you're going to kill your knuckles. So I taught him how to wrap the hand up, taught him how to hit it, and how to deal with his stress that way. Also got him through to referral to YSS counseling. I do a lot of referrals to counseling. It's not just YSS. We send them out to other places like Center Associates or anything like that, whatever they've been before, because I know a lot of them don't want to tell their story over again to a new counselor. So we just try to encourage them to continue that. Questions? Yes, right.
Reading the paper about the numbers that we're calling out. I'm assuming that some of these people are arrested.
Some.
That's something you can get called out. Isn't there a point at some point that's actually paid for it's gonna be cheaper to have you guys there than just.
Yes, I'm gonna let David answer that. He's the numbers guy. I don't do math.
I went into social work to get out of the numbers game, to get out of math. And here we are. It's going to be really important. Darcy does an assessment, so we gather all sorts of demographic data, everything that's related to the individual, so we can have specific numbers that I can report back to you. What we need to do is determine that if we prevented law enforcement from coming out, prevented an arrest, that equates to dollars. So we could save officer time, which then equates to an hourly rate or a salary. So we can kind of figure that out. If we can prevent an arrest, that equates to a dollar amount too. So I need to, and I always tell people this, I need to get with an egghead or somebody who likes statistics, who can equate the numbers that we have equate to a certain dollar, equates to amount that's dollars saved. So we have $150,000. So I think we can come up with a number and quantify that for numbers saved. Maybe most importantly, we've had 42 individuals. Maybe that's 42 individuals' lives saved. There's no number for that. It's definitely no number for that. Did I get that? Yeah. Okay.
Do you guys have, is there an average when you get a call? I would assume maybe they're more in the evening or after hours. Are you guys on call 24/7?
Not yet. That is the goal, to be 24/7 at some point. That's going to take more money. Honestly, I feel like the more calls are happening like right before I leave. So I'm like, okay,
Your shift.
I'll stay another hour. No, we usually work during the week, 10 to midnight. And on Friday or Saturday, it's,
You do like 2 to 10.
oh, sorry. I went backwards there, 12 to 10. And then, and then on the weekend, it's like 2 to midnight. So midnight's the latest for there on the weekend. I've gotten called at midnight quite a few times and have to stay a little bit later. I've gotten called as soon as I've
evening. So we have them work, like Darcy said, 10-hour shifts every day. Actually 2 days on, 3 days off, and then through the weekend. So we knew we had to have somebody each day of the week, that latter half of the day, and then Fridays were the frequency of calls. That I don't know what happens on Fridays, but then Darcy and Autumn are both working Friday nights, and that I think goes till about midnight. If that's the way it is, that calls happen at 12:30. You know, it's a 24-hour job. We just don't have the 24-hour funding yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there is. We're just going to have to work with the statistician who can get those numbers of what those costs are for serving somebody in the ER, whatever that rate is, law enforcement rate. But Darcy is, met with people at the ER because police have been called there. But no doubt some of these suicidal calls where we can have like a safety plan in place has prevented some of those ER calls. And the ER, just like the police, it's like, well, go to the ER, call the cops. That seems to be the catch-all for everything. So we want to have some sort of prevention piece with that so we can prevent those ER calls. But yeah, I think there's a number we can come up with, that there's a cost savings from tying up medical community. Yeah, and we aren't going to have Darcy or Autumn transport somebody else to another county. We've got a van through CARES dollars, through Central Valley Community Services. We purchased a brand new van for Impact. So we have some transportation barriers that we've been able to resolve, but there's still going to be time where medical says they need to be housed in another location. And we'll still have law enforcement do that just because of the nature and the concern for safety. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Darcy's worked with some folks right at the hospital that prevented further hospitalization, that we brought in family, came up with a plan, therapy options. So that's kept people housed and kept people safe. Yes. Yep. We just need somebody who can kind of crunch those numbers. That we'll find somebody. I hate to pay for that service, but everything costs money. But if we can maybe find a graduate student at Iowa State who'd like to take the first 2 months numbers and kind of break those down and see what we can come up with, that's powerful. And we know we have to churn out dollars saved because people look at those dollars saved, but we're not making widgets here. We're saving lives. So the impact we're making in people's lives will hopefully resonate much further than we've saved $500,000 from not jailing people, because that's certainly not a solution. Providing services to families in their homes, that's a solution.
And thinking about the situation that just occurred in Brooklyn, Minnesota. And I'm wondering, our system, at what point would we have been involved in that, would it have prevented that situation from escalating?
Come up with the answer.
Sure. Question was, a situation up in Minnesota that just happened recently. Would we have been involved in a situation like that, or when we would have been involved in a situation like that? And I haven't seen too much about this, but it sounds like police were enforcing some sort of legal issue that I doubt we would have been brought in, but perhaps if law enforcement said, us to maybe help assess the situation. But granted, police are still going to do their law enforcement work and we're not going to interfere with that. And I hear chirpings all the time of, well, that's just defunding police. And it's kind of why I've stopped going out to Walmart, because I have people coming up to me saying, you're trying to defund the police. It's value added to the police. We are adding value to our law enforcement community. We're not taking any money away from them. They still have their budget. We're helping law enforcement save time. So they can respond to calls that are actually public safety related, legal issues. So we're not taking anything away from them. Darcy and Autumn are huge assets to the police department. And that's why you're seeing this pop up in other communities across Iowa. They see the benefits as well. And really the time is right for having this program. I like to think that, the federal government has, with Joni Ernst reaching out to us, the federal government is always slow to respond to things. While the cities can be very proactive and quick to implement things like what we did. We implemented this in a matter of months. Federal government can't respond that quickly. So I think we're well ahead of the game. So maybe a year from now, the feds will have determined, oh, this is what we should be doing. And so funding should be going towards these preventive projects. We're just quick and nimble enough to get it done. And the feds just don't operate like that. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We wish you well in this year. Next week, our program will be given by Terry Eisenbarth from St. Francis School, so you'll want to be sure to be here. I invite you now to join me in reciting the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? I now declare our meeting adjourned.